everybody, and welcome to Poland Daily Travel. We're talking more about the Warsaw Uprising, and this particular episode concerns a fellow by the name of Szpilman. You might know that name from the movie made of his story during World War II called The Pianist. And it's a funny story for me as well personally, because I met Mr. Szpilman without really realizing the full nature of his story. He was just a guest at a film festival where I was. And I was told that this man, survived the war, but so many people had. And I wasn't aware of his actual story until a bit later. There was, it just didn't occur to me to look it up. There's so many. I've met so many survivors of the Warsaw Ghetto, the Warsaw Uprising, the war in general, including people in my own family. But this place across here is the building where Szpilman lived. He was hiding here during the Warsaw Uprising. It's today, that building is on Aleja Niepodległości, and that street is one of the main thoroughfares running from north-south, south-north through Warsaw and through downtown, through the center. And it would have been a place where there was still some control right up to the end of the Home Army. It's one of the last places to be evacuated when the treaty was signed. Szpilman was in this building, and then I understand he went and stayed in a place around the back on the next street, which is also a place I know because a friend of mine used to live there, but I was not aware that Szpilman had lived on that street behind this building. Another interesting part of the story, at least I can tell you about my personal story, is that I knew a fellow called Gene Gutowski, who was a film producer. He produced films of Roman Polanski in London in the 60s. They were young guys in the movie industry, and Gene Gutowski produced Repulsion and Cul-de-sac and Revenge of the Vampire Killers, which was one of Sharon Tate's first big roles, and also starred Polanski, and he directed it. But anyway, Gene told me in a conversation, he said, "Oh, I've bought the rights to this book." We were sitting in his sitting room and of his flat over in the center of town, and he said, I bought the rights to this book, The Pianist by Szpilman. You remember Szpilman, who he is? I said, yes and no. I met him once. What's the book about? He says, well, it's an exciting story of his hiding in the ghetto. Not in the ghetto, but in the ghetto, but also in the during the Warsaw Uprising, and his survival and how he survived. He says, I'm talking to Roman Polanski, and I bought the rights, and we're going to make a movie out of it. And I said to him, yes, I know the story now. It's been in the papers or something. I said, you know what, if you make a movie of this, you have a very good chance of winning an Academy Award, just like Spielberg did when he did Schindler's List, because the story is so strong and so original. At any rate, the building where Szpilman was hiding is there, and then he was hiding around the back after the first, say, 3 weeks of the uprising. He moved to that location. We're going to show you that too. But I just want to say, the Ministry of Defense is opposite this pink building, and there's a big sign saying you get about 5,000 zlotys bonus on your first day if you sign up and join the army. Poland today, of course, wants to increase the size of its army in 2023 by 20,000 soldiers, And this is, of course, because of the war right across the border in Ukraine, or the Ukraine, however you want to say it. Vova says it's okay if I say the Ukraine. He doesn't get upset. So, roll the trailer, and we'll move to the other location. See you in a minute. This building at Sędziowska Street is on the backside of Aleja Niepodległości, or Independence Avenue, and this is the building in which Szpilman hid out until January 1945, largely with the help of a German officer, as is portrayed in the film by Roman Polanski. And by coincidence, I had a friend who lived in this very building. And I didn't know that Szpilman had been hiding here during the war. I don't think he knew either, because he never mentioned it. But this is it. So if you can imagine that you would have been in this street, hiding out, quite something. These people who did this were called, I think, Crusoes, or Robinson Crusoes, weren't they? Because they were stranded, as Robinson Crusoe was on his desert island. Each person was stranded. There were several thousand of these people, they think, because these people did not trust the Germans. They would rather take their chances in the rubble and scavenging for what food they might find than to trust the German evacuation and wait for the Russians and see what happened. Okay, at any rate, that's the Szpilman, Władysław Szpilman, the pianist story.